Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 125 of Dissonant Waves. My name is Dominic.
Yay!
Ritz and Trix, they're here too.
And the drum machine. Don't forget
And
this
the drum
beautiful drum
machine's here.
machine.
We're doing more funky, fresh beats.
And my
Yeah.
cat.
Monte Christo is here as well. Say hi,
I'm
Monte.
just gonna press a random number on this memory button to get a random pattern loaded up again, and we'll just see what we're dancing to. Hell yeah! This will be the funkiest episode of Dissonant Waves, and like usual, I'll forget the sound pattern in the next.
Yep, that sounds about right.
That kind of sounds like drum beat and just kind of rhythm bits kind of sounded like Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye.
I need to listen to more Marvin Gaye, to be honest.
Fair
enough. It just kind of sounded like the intro.
If I have time, I might cut that and put that as the intro. We'll see.
Yes, the Dissonant Waves intro that we've used in every episode. Alright, well, what happens if I make it faster?
Ooh, shit.
Ooh. Oh, shit. Alright, when do I get onto the Homer's Wear tribute compilation?
Is that where we're starting this week?
Well,
First off, we had to say everything that we are doing this week.
Yes,
but that is one of them.
Yeah, we're doing quite a bit of stuff this week. We're doing a lot of stuff as usual, it seems. I have chosen to bring to the table the Sam Smith album Gloria, as well as the Stonefruit EP by Left at London and g.rola. Trix has introduced us to the world of Shel Silverstein's musical albums with Songs and Stories and Freakin at the Faker's Ball, the expanded edition. And Ritz, true to form, has brought us the new Postcard Nowhere and Momentary Warmth album Momentary Warmth, as well as the I Became Birds tribute compilation We Share the Same Insects from various artists who are in the fifth wave emo scene. In tribute to, of course, Homer's Wear.
And that's it, isn't it?
That's it. That's 6 things.
Yeah. It's like, did we do more? It's like, no, it just felt like we did more.
There's a few interesting coincidences with this one. Not a ton, but like, you know, momentary, like there's quite a bit of like backstory and like extraneous things we could have watched and could have talked about, like of course Shel Silverstein. Ritz, you don't know who he is. Big children's author.
You mentioned a bit outside of the week, a bit more into who Shel Silverstein was. Like I think it was the Taking Tree or something, or the
Giving Tree.
The Giving Tree, the Taking Tree.
Taking Tree's a Billy and Mandy episode.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Giving Tree.
Which is
like...
that's the only reason that I actually know any reference to it, because like it might have been popular in Australia. I don't know. I genuinely actually lost on any context before here of Shel Silverstein.
That's right.
I honestly think that's
I was gonna say we also had the documentary behind the Momentary Warmth album as well that I had posted, which I watched. It was fairly interesting, actually.
I full admit I only watched snippets of it.
That's right.
I did not watch it.
It's because last time there really wasn't a ton about B. Lambert out there, but now there's like 20 some minutes of B. Lambert out there. So anyway,
we got more B. Lambert. Anyway, since we talked about Momentary Warmth and Shel Silverstein, Trix, where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, you already kind of slam dunked the segue at the beginning.
So we'll go on with the Homer's Wear?
Yeah.
Alright, well we'll start off with the Homer's Wear.
Yeah, let's start off with an all-star highlight for us.
A bit under 2 years ago, I introduced Homer's Wear onto this podcast. Obviously, I've been covering a bit of emo and stuff. I think Homer's Wear probably still would have been one of the first ones to kind of do it, but
it was Paranormal Homer's Wear, I think, back to back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so there you go. And obviously, I'm a big fan of I Became Birds. Since we covered it, I've gone on to consider it to be one of my few 10 out of 10s, which I probably give more for EPs these days than I do albums, but we've gotten a couple over the past 2 years. So yeah. Obviously, since then, we've kind of branched out a lot more into the fifth wave scene, including a lot of the artists that are on here. In fact, we've covered 5 out of 6, if I'm correct.
And
More or
it's
less,
also
yeah.
worth mentioning to new listeners that Dominic and I went and saw Home Is Where in Chicago.
Yes,
So,
that was a while ago.
No, 4 out of 6 because we haven't covered Asian Glow, have we?
I think Asian Glow was on something else.
There might have been on like a compilation or something, but we haven't actually.
I think we've got him on a technicality.
Yeah. We definitely have never covered Hekra before, although Hekra has been a bit more well established in the DRI scene since Fourth Wave, so they're actually probably the oldest artist on here.
They also have been disappeared for a while, it seems like, too.
Yes, it's kind of a weird comeback. I had only ever really known of Hekra before this as well, for their one album art, which is very appealing for the reason of that is a very cute bunny and absolutely nothing else.
But
yeah, so we've got
the White Eagle
very
album.
cute bunny. It's a very cute bunny, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I would cuddle that bunny. Anyway, we now have a tribute compilation that's come out as a 2-year anniversary of this album being or album EP. I could still consider it an EP. They consider it an album. I don't really think I have the right to judge there. I still will. And yeah, we do have this. We still have this all-star cast of, as we've been saying, artists that we've practically covered. And well, I liked Lobster Fight. You two weren't so big on the Lobster Fight record, but the other ones that we have covered have been a lot more positive as well. Obviously, Stomach Book was one of all of our favorite albums of 2021 as well. Paranol, definitely another big one. Awake But Still in Bed was not as high as the other ones, but we were all still
I think
a bit more fond of. I believe you liked it better than Marietta, which I like Marietta better than Awake But Still in Bed.
Correct. I like that one better than Marietta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What song? How should we start? Should we go song by song since this is 6 songs, 6 artists?
Yeah, it's just worth saying that this is the most appealing thing to us that could possibly exist.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
You can see on Bandcamp right now, and hopefully right now still. Yeah, my comments is on.
I had a Bandcamp like this once. It's still there.
I had a wet dream like this once. Said Ritalin for kids.
It's true. We'll start off with the very first song on here. L. Ron Hubbard was way cool.
The Dianetics version.
Very cool. Yeah, Dianetics version by Stomach Book, and that is 100% Stomach Book covering it. That's what I like about this. What I like about this compilation here is that it's not just them doing the songs; it's definitely the artists doing their own take on it.
Yes. Yeah. And as the person who likes L. Ron Hubbard was way cool the most, I was very happy to see this version come along. Because I think
I honestly think this is one of the few ones where I don't think there's anything on here which I go and say like, oh, I'd replace the album with, obviously. But there are moments in which I go and say like, yeah, this stands out in a unique enough way that maybe I would like appeal to listening to this more as a standalone. And the Stomach Book cover is one of those. Yeah, the other one is probably the Asian Glow one.
It transcends being just an intro, I feel like, or at least tries to be more of a full song.
Yeah, the flow of I Became Birds is basically thrown out here, but it's a compilation album, so you should expect that.
Yeah.
And has been replaced with allowing this to be just 6 standalone songs, basically, but allowing L. Ron Hubbard to become a standalone song actually works a lot more in his favor and finally gets Dominic that validation he was always looking for.
I mean, I understand all like assisted Harikiri and everything else, but I've always thought that, oh my god, that song is so killer. But yeah.
And Stomach Book also starts off the vocals on there in this very kind of high-pitched hyperpop kind of way.
Yeah.
To be honest. Before they actually go into a bit more of their more natural vocals for the last 2 lines basically, and then they kind of continue the I
believe it is she.
L. Ron Hubbard has a breakdown in its original one, but they kind of delay the breakdown a bit and then extend it.
Yeah. And then it becomes like a whole second half basically. Like, instead of it just stopping, it kind of just continues on with where you might imagine that the song would continue on if they hadn't just cut it off, basically.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna say, oh, it's a triumphant, transcendent second half that's created out of nowhere. It's still, it's like you kind of go in knowing like this is a reinterpretation, and like it's like someone adding on to this song that had served a specific purpose, but it does make it stand out, like you said.
And then we move on now to the next song on here, unless Trix wants to interrupt with anything else here.
I got nothing else to say.
That's fair enough. Surprisingly, you would think after we've done this week, 2 weeks in a row and stuff, that this would be my favorite out of everything. Would be Paranol remixing Long Distance Conjoined Twins. So you only have, well, basically the artist who was my 4th favorite song of the year, covering my favorite song of that year. And that is mostly where my wet dream comes out of. Surprisingly, though, I don't hate it, but I think the Paranol one is the weakest one out of all of them. It's an interesting remix and an attempt on it, and I don't think it was a concept that was executed poorly. I just think it's a concept that really can only go so far. Monte, what are you doing?
He keeps trying to jump on my desk.
Desk jumper.
Cute little Monte. Cute little Monte.
There's not a lot of room on this desk for a cat.
But I mean, basically, it is just the vocals from Long Distance Conjoined Twins on top of a new Paranol track.
Yeah, and I think I would have rather seen Paranol use that sound for a more original Paranol song, to be honest. Because again, I don't think there's anything bad with those. I don't think it's a case of like, oh, the guitars are too muddy, because that's Paranol's fucking sound.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't work as well, and I would have liked to have seen a different concept. But instead, we just kind of got you got what you would probably expect out of this. I mean, the very next track, Asian Glow, actually covers the vocals themselves as well, so
yeah,
it might have actually been a bit more interesting to see Paranol do that as well. Obviously, I don't know how comfortable Paranol will be singing in English, so that's a different thing. I mean, hell, even if we got Korean Long Distance Conjoined Twins, that would have been an interesting take.
That would have fucked.
I mean, there's also, like how this is such a personal album, right?
Yeah.
How much do you want to just do those songs yourself? Especially if you're not, like, in the same headspace.
Fair.
Like, I feel like...
Yeah, but
you can do them, but I think, I don't know, I would be hesitant as an artist in this instance to be like, do I want to just put my voice on there, or what?
A lot of the personal kind of moments of I Became Birds, though, I get what you kind of mean. Like, it is still personal, but it's not like Mount Eerie, A Crow Looked at Me personal, where it's just kind of whole, I'm in a really dark place, all this shit has happened, I need to kind of vent, air how I'm feeling, all this. I Became Birds is more personal in celebration. Like, yeah, there's obviously a lot of kind of more metaphorical lyrics and stuff like that, and probably some stuff on there that is not exactly all cheery at some times, but it is still mostly a celebration of being transcendent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say.
And I don't think you had to be too personal. I'll
Sure.
just quickly go into the sentence. I don't think you had to be too personally connected to that to still be able to sing. Like, the bigger reason why I love the EP as well is because of the whole energy of the whole thing.
Yes.
And I don't think you have to personally be on the same wavelength, I guess, as McDonald is.
As long as there's respect shown, right?
Yeah.
I was gonna say you gave me the image of Meatloaf covering Real Death.
I could see that.
Remember that Nightcore remix?
Oh god.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I mean you're correct. I guess like people can do it as long as it's respectful and fits, I guess.
I don't even think it has to really be personal to do that, nor do I think even to cover a song and obviously I don't mean it in the context of this one, but I guess that's also because I like the EP. I don't even think you have to really give respect to a cover at times. Sometimes a cover doesn't deserve respect, and then sometimes your cover of a cover, it can just be pissing off on that cover. Like, have you ever heard Lingria Ignota's cover or remix, sorry, of that awful cover of Imagine?
No.
That everyone did. She literally just added a shit ton of static noise onto it.
I like that idea. That sounds nice.
And that's basically showing no respect.
Yeah, but I don't know. I guess that's more acceptable because that was more laughable of an idea.
Yeah, I know. Context will always matter to what is acceptable or not. That's just the way things will always be. I don't think there's anything that would change that.
Right, but also
nor should there be anything that change that, to be honest. But yeah,
more realistically, I mean, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine, honestly, probably the language barrier was probably a higher concern, maybe. Because that's not to say he doesn't do any English in his work, Paranol, but not to this degree.
All the lyrics do still get transcribed to English on the Bandcamp. So
that's true.
That's at least it seems to be acknowledgement of the English supporter base. But yeah, it is still a language barrier is not exactly an easy thing to overcome.
Like, even if he could do it, proficiently, he might not personally be comfortable doing it. Like, just
yeah. That is true as well.
But yeah, I mean, the Asian Glow comparison is, of course, right there too. Of like, Asian Glow did it.
Yeah, Asian Glow kind of. It's the cover that we'll just move on to. Sewn together with the membrane of the
Great Sea Cucumber.
Great Sea Cucumber.
Rolf's customary dress mix.
Where Asian Glow 100% turns it way more into into an Asian Glow track. It absolutely brings in that kind of lo-fi shoegaze emo-y sound that they're quite well known for. Changes up the the moments, I guess, at the end there, like the calm end of Sewn Together in the original was kind of moved more into the middle, and it lets the kind of whole scream breakdown be the outro,
which is fantastic.
Which I believe that's the only time where it's not Asian Glow's lyrics. I think that's still the original in it, isn't it?
I wasn't really sure, but probably.
Yeah, it's muddled enough that and Asian Glow does. I mean, screaming sounds the same for a lot of people, so
yeah.
When you get high pitched enough, it all sounds the same. That's just what screaming basically is. That's probably my worst take I've ever made. Trix is dying from that. But the actual build up to the outro on it is just fucking sick. So when the outro hits in it, because you've had just all this kind of weight, and it has the context of knowing what the previous song sounded like as well.
Yeah.
On there, that you're kind of actually just waiting for it to hit, because they do the guitar build up that happens in the original song after the first verse, and then they repeat the verse again. So you think it's gonna hit, but then they're just actually slowly getting louder. But they're still not really getting. It's not. Despite getting slowly louder, it's not like this nice, calming Boil the Frog type of lead up to the screaming. It still has that contrast that makes it hit so well.
Agreed. It recontextualizes and makes it a different feeling. You're gonna say, Trix?
I'm just kind of agreeing.
And it's a lot more dreamier, despite all that lo-fi sounds to it. It is quite still dreamy of a track.
And also, I would say somber too. I think that's to do with Asian Glow's lyrics being a bit more, I would say, downcast or just like more low in a way.
Holy shit! A bird just flew upside down, grabbed a tree here. That was an incredible trick, and it's gone. Sorry, I was distracted by that, but that was what a bird. You think Monte would like that, Trix?
Did you become the bird?
I should have. I really should have.
And right now he's splashing in his water dish, so I don't think he gives a shit about birds.
I used to have cats if they saw birds even from outside the window, their tail just full on
Yeah.
They were ready to hunt, and they would try to jump out the window. It was closed, so it was no good. But yeah, they'll try.
Yeah.
But yeah, the context with like the somberness of it, it feels a different type of somber. Like
Yes.
it's still somber, I guess, but it feels different, and that's why I like this cover so much. It feels like a completely different song, but it also still has what the original song was trying to do.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Then moving on to the fourth song on this compilation is the artist that I liked a lot more than you two liked. It's the Lobster Fight cover, and it's the classification of Stingray's done, but if Lobster Fight had written it.
And it's probably the best Lobster Fight song I've listened to.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's a hot take for me, but that's just because I liked the theme for this evening's warm dinner salad quite a lot. Which a lot of people who heard that song for the first time when I played it did not seem to have the same opinions, but
Yeah, I could see that.
But fuck all of you, that song's incredible. But it's
if you like chaotic jazz,
the Lobster Fight one's cute. Really, like it's not a standout. I don't think it holds its own compared to the other songs on here that I really like. But I think it's still a cute cover, and that's what I like about Lobster Fight. They had this. It's why I like Petite League songs actually at times as well. Is when they get that perfect mixture of mature and childishness in this, like the perfect synergy of it.
Mm.
It creates a sound that's cute, but it's not an insulting cute. It's like a real like playfulness type of thing, and it's a really hard vibe to get. And I don't think this is perfect in Lobster Fight's cover, but it still kind of gets that vibe, and I like it.
I can see that. That's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of. You remember you saying last week about how this one and the Paranormal one were the two that really leaned into using the original vocals a lot.
No, not this one.
Oh,
no, not the Lobster Fight one.
I thought that.
No, the Lobster Fight one is the Lobster Fight is Lobster Fight singing.
Oh, maybe.
No,
okay.
it's the Heckler one.
Oh, that's my bad. I thought that was the original vocals on the Lobster Fight one. My bad.
No.
I probably just offended many people. I apologize.
You'll be fine. I don't really have too much more to say. I don't really have much more to say about the Lobster Fight one.
No,
it's cute. It's fun. It's there. It's not bad. Just,
now the Heckler one.
It's fun.
The Heckler
the Heckler one is the one that I did not expect out of any emo artist to be doing on here, in which they just said, fuck it, we're making an indie pop remix.
Yeah, fucking play this in the club.
Yeah.
It's like when I heard that kind of like the start with the basically no instruments in the melody, obviously the vocals original from Assistant Harakiri. I was kind of like, all right, this is kind of just a very low. I thought it was going to be like a whole very avant-garde type of remix, and then the one thing that I just did not expect was the beat to drop, and I was dancing.
Yeah,
but also for the fucking if it turned hardcore at the very end too.
Yeah, it's it's out of all the things that I didn't expect, and if you told me there was going to be a hardcore cover on here, I'd believe you. If you told me that it was going to be in the same song that was an indie pop song, I would have still been questioning the indie pop cover. That's it. Like, I don't know. It's such a whiplash in a weird way, but I'm into it.
I don't know what any of the versions mean, like the names of them, like the Dol Tonto remix.
I think it's
just shit posts because the L. Ron Hubbard one, Dianetics, was the fucking Scientology.
Yeah, that one makes sense, almost. But
I assumed after I saw Dianetics and saw shit posting, if I've offended some real actual meaning there, that is due to my ignorance. But until I have been called out of my ignorance, I'm going to believe it's shit posting.
You're going to say that's the Umphalophagus like that?
Fuck.
I'm also reminded of the song TNT by Tenacious D. That is all I have to say.
That is fair enough.
But yeah,
But
like,
yeah,
No,
it's
it's Kielbasa.
yeah. With the Dianetics line
Yeah.
at the end there, yeah. But this is a really catchy remix.
yeah, and I want to know what Hector's
Yeah.
been doing for 10 years almost.
Well, I think for the past 2
Yeah.
years they're probably working on this.
Oh shit. Yeah.
At least that's all we know.
Yeah,
Tell you what, though, it's paid off. This is a good remix. Like, I've listened to a lot of remixes just in passing in my short listens and stuff like that
you
of
made your
indie
own.
pop songs. I made my own shitty ones. Shout out Seismic. But a lot of indie pop covers that I hear, or even just alternative covers, it turns it into just a real. Some of them are really mediocre. Like it's one drawn out bass line, put the vocals there. There's not much changing after 30 seconds. You've heard 30 seconds of it, you know exactly how it's all going to go. This is one of the best remixes of the song that I've heard because it's actually a fucking remix.
Yeah, that's the fun thing. It's literally a remix, like in the most obvious way.
And I want to point out that I'm going to exclude from my criticisms there. Flume has always made a good remix. Whether or not it's been a fantastic remix is already, obviously it's something up for debate. But that's always how to do a good remix. Something that's in your style or something completely different from the original. And now Hecra goes into the whole. I don't know if I put this into the greatest remixes of all time, but it's definitely the greatest remix of this year that I've heard.
And the year's young.
Yeah. I reckon it'll probably be up there at the end of it. This is catchy. This is a bop. Good shit.
Bops.
Bop.
And
Bop it.
last song on here, Awake But Still in Bed, covering The Old Country. Somehow longer than The Old Country. Despite not really adding much to it. But yeah.
This is the one I would argue is better than the original.
That is fair. I think they're on par. I think they're on par.
They are on par.
I never quite liked the original very much, and I think this one makes it something more appealing to me. I like what Awake But Still in Bed does with this version, and makes it, like, again, a little more different than what's originally there, but makes it their own. Definitely brings in different vocals, which is not a bad thing. Or no, I'm not saying the original vocals are bad, but
I'm going to argue that it makes it their own. I think it's not really too much in the style of Awake But Still in Bed. I mean, Awake But Still in Bed's always been a bit more screamo with their sound, and this song's probably actually got the most that Shannon's been singing in a non-screaming voice.
That's fair.
To be honest,
I guess I just when I say it makes it their own, I just mean more that it's just Shannon.
Yeah, that is true. It's a nice closer. I don't think it's. I mean, The Old Country is good that it's a short, kind of calming 2 minutes after I Became Birds, after the 16 minutes before it, that is just full on, basically, to get a nice short kind of calm down before the album ends. It's a nice little ending to it, which really wouldn't work in any other context. And here, we're throwing the context out because it's a compilation of basically going anyway. So it's like, does the song really hold off as its own? Kind of. It's still just a calming
I think
little
here it
country
does.
song.
I never thought that the original did, and I think part of that might be just because I know the context of like what Brandon McDonald was planning to do with the Old Country original.
Yeah, with the original 20-minute song.
Yeah,
which they should release.
But like, I think if that was never a thing, and like this and like what we have was all that existed, like would that still be on that album? I think there's maybe a bit of importance placed on that.
I've got a bigger question here, actually.
Yeah.
Trix, now that we have the context of all this, if they ever release the 20-minute, do we just do a Shaky Graves versus that one Homer's Ware song?
Fuck it, sure.
What do you mean?
We just fight to the death about it.
Sure, okay.
Sure.
All in all, though, this is as we repeated many times, this is our wet dream of a music compilation.
I feel like
this
it's a
could
real
not have-
obvious number one.
Yeah, this could not have come out as any better unless Glass Beach did a cover maybe.
Or Postcard Nowhere.
Yeah, one of them.
Pinky Graves tweeted about it somehow.
Oh, if we had Bigger Boot on there, but I think Bigger Boot was just as surprised that it came out as we were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was imagining what if We Will Look Back and Love You Forever was on this.
Fuck it, they should just do it anyway. They should just remix the whole thing.
They just do a second edition.
This is gonna be so wildly successful among fifth wave emo nerds.
No.
That I feel like they're gonna have to do two.
I got it. Second edition, Bigger Boot, We Will Look Back and Love You Forever, Postcard Nowhere, and we do a remix.
Yeah, I had my 15-second cover of Long Distance Conjoined Twins that we've already covered. How come it was not on this? Guest slamming fun slander.
Like, I do fucking guitar and vocals. Dominic does spoken word, and Ritz puts the fat beat under it.
Yeah, we could do a version of the old country that'll fuck up things.
Oh wait, I thought we were starting.
You gotta plan this shit
Sometime we'll have
out.
to get together and jam.
Anyway, he spent half an hour talking about this.
Yeah, it's a 22-minute.
We spent longer talking about it than the EP.
But again,
that was to be expected. We all knew damn well when this came out, we were all going to talk about it, and we were going to talk about it long. And now we've done that. And favorites on here is Assisted Harakiri and Sewn Together from the membrane of the Great Cucumber. Least favorite is probably the Paranol one.
Favorites.
I refuse to say the name of the song is the least favorite. It was my song of the year in 2021, man. I can't do that.
Favorites is the Assisted Harakiri and the Paranol song.
no least favorites?
No least favorites.
Favorites for me are the Stomach Book and Awake But Still in Bed covers. My least favorite's Lobster Fight, but I also really like all the other covers. So it's kind of just a little dip in the pond for Lobster Fight is.
I'm gonna pull my pizza out of the oven. I'll be right back.
Well, whilst we're on that, Dominic, you want to pick what we're choosing next?
Let's just roll into Postcard Nowhere.
Yeah, so this seems to be a bit more than Postcard Nowhere as well, doesn't
Yes.
it? It seems to be a bit Postcard Nowhere starting a band, and somehow we've gotten less music out of it.
The documentary actually describes it quite well in that this YouTuber, Aiden Gallagher, who...
Get in the oven, Monte.
his YouTube is like the Valspire family or something like that. Something like that. He basically put up a documentary on his channel, or like a big vlog of this month-long experiment that he did with B. Lambert of Postcard Nowhere, a friend named Kyle, and B's girlfriend Mandy. They were just like in the cabin in the woods in North Carolina for a month, and they basically just made an album. And this Aiden kid never made music before. He's just a YouTuber who does like traveling stuff and wanted to try something different. And this is the result of trying something different. And he was a big fan of Postcard Nowhere before, and his whole kind of thesis was to make songs and music that he wanted to listen to, that he wanted to have for like videos and stuff, and wanted to make music that vibed with him, and this is what vibes with him.
That's very fair.
And so
Yes.
what we have on the Bandcamp version, at least, we have these 7 songs. That's the official release. And then the Bandcamp version has 10 bonus tracks that are kind of like a peel back into like the sessions of recording that you would kind of see on the documentary if you watched it, but even more so in some ways.
So going on to the actual album itself, or kind of EP or album one, or whatever that we consider this one to be, because obviously on Bandcamp we've got 10 extra fucking songs in here, but the actual release itself said it's supposed to be 7 songs, 20 minutes. It is, I mean, it's definitely what you would expect now that you've heard that it's made in a cabin in the woods, Bon Iver style.
And over the course of a month even, which is...
Yeah. Which, listening to Postcard Nowhere's Juvenilia, there was a lot that happened in that record. It went from very minimalistic to lo-fi, but yet many layers onto it.
Yeah.
Whilst here, this is a very simple folk release.
But
or indie folk, yeah.
yes, and like, but still, the songs are a lot of the songs are effortlessly just interesting or catchy or different. You know, there's a lot of attention paid to making sure each song works on its own, at least for the 7 that are there.
Yeah, in a way. I mean, I'm still unsure how I feel about some of the songs on here. Some of them I think I need to investigate a bit more into the lyrics. I think it was either Feel You or Mothman where they were talking about how this woman keeps getting fucked, and I was like, is this in one of those like she's cheating on you ways, or is this one of these incelish ways? I kind of need to check the lyrics on that.
That's fair. I didn't think about that. It's worth checking out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I haven't actually checked the lyrics going into this, so I'm not going to make any assumption onto that because there are times where it's actually just talking about infidelity, which I think is a bit more fair.
And sometimes you just make assumptions like I did with Gautier.
Yeah.
But I mean,
there are still some really interesting moments that they do on this record. The opening song, okay, where it goes into that whole kind of like playing the samples over the instrumentation. I think it's it's nothing fantastic into this whole like, yes, you have to listen to it, but it is nice and calming, and there's a nice little intro that they put into there. Is it probably a little generic and overdone? Yeah, but it still scratches the nice little itch.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the real highlights come later with like maybe Tomorrow and Outside. Like Outside,
yeah,
very fucking catchy.
Outside's the best song on the second by far.
I really like how Maybe Tomorrow goes. I like that. Was it a theremin they're using? I can't tell. That high pitch thing that they're using. I really like what they're doing with that as like a, I don't know if you call that like a counterpoint, but.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have this weird interlude song called "Fuck You" song, which it sounds like they've just constantly been trying to get that live recording for a while. I can't tell how legitimate that like, all right, this last time thing will be because it's a very short song. It's very immature, which is so weird compared to the rest of Postcard Nowhere's discography.
But that's not the only time if you count the Bandcamp stuff though.
Yeah, yes.
Because you have the Kyle diss track, which goes really hard at the immaturity.
I'm just talking about the albums, not the B-sides.
I just want to say that I think that's important because I don't know, is that more of maybe with the other people that are there? I mean, I think when we checked, B. Lambert was like 18, 19 maybe. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, if he's making music with people around his age, you know, there's still going to be like, you know, he himself might be like really advanced and like really meaningful as an artist at this point, but doesn't mean everyone around him is going to be. And so, you know, there's still that immaturity strain that you can get when you get multiple people together.
Oh yeah,
indeed.
I'm not putting it as a kind of like complaint of like, oh, you're too old for this. It's just it is a standout in a weird way, admittedly, when you've listened to everything else that we have in that discography. Like, you hear songs like Rocket, which are about fucking drug use, basically. And then you hear another one, which is fuck yeah. It's like, all right, I guess that's the two different vibes you're going for now.
I mean, there is a live version of Rocket in the bonus stuff too.
Yeah, there is as well. Yeah, so that is something that we can compare to in here. So I did say you can listen to the 10 bonus songs on here. We wouldn't really judge it too much, but I thought it was interesting that we have basically a bonus deluxe edition here that's longer than the actual record, which you can start to tell quite easily when it's the bonus stuff because the production levels of it kind of go down quite drastically.
Yes.
And I mean, some of them, there's definitely like Sleepwalking has a very shoegaze theme that I can kind of see why they left it off because it doesn't really fit with anything else.
Yes.
But it's rather interesting on its own. But then, of course, the demos, it's like, those are just demos. They're just getting the raw audio, fucking around, coughing, losing track of the song.
Yeah.
Yep, and then we got even more covers as well with the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Takeshi or whatever it is, the Camping in Alaska cover,
which just got
and
announced this week.
And Alex G Pretend cover as well.
Yeah. And then I mean, I think the documentary does give some more context a little bit because, like, when they were in the cabin in the woods, they made a fort, and they were doing a lot of work. It seemed like by the fort, like a fire pit and everything. So, Rocket Live from the fort. That's where they probably just had B play it.
That's cute. That's really cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I think giving context to it is what I think helps shapes it a little bit and kind of puts it puts it a little bit of a storybook around it, right? Of like, this is just an experiment. This is like, this guy basically wanted to do this and managed to get an artist he really liked into it as well.
And I mean, even when it's not even a case of that, because I still come out of this liking it more than I do think it, or more dislike it. So I'm bad with words today. But there's always something special about just being able to get together with friends and release a record.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
At a point, it doesn't even matter if it's successful or not. It's just fun to make it.
Which is, yeah, and I'm glad that there is that context for us to experience along with it. Yeah. By itself, it's like, what is this? What is Momentary Warmth?
Ooh, and I think you're probably right in the sense that probably should watch the documentary, because it seems like there is a lot of context that makes this release better. I don't think it makes it fantastic, but I think it makes it better.
Trix, what about you?
This was an alright album. I really don't have too much to say about it. I ended up buying it on Bandcamp for the bonus tracks. I liked I liked the feel of a lot of the bonus stuff a bit more. Yeah, I liked it kind of looser, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I like the roughness of some of it. Yeah, I just like hearing the raw recordings of stuff because I like hearing the imperfections. I like hearing like what they've changed or smoothed over. Or just even like having was it B or somebody just devolve into a coughing fit. That's just interesting to me. Not because they're sick, but just because, like, oh, they decided to use this take.
Yeah.
Kind of going back to the New Wave live version on the Against Me live album.
Shall we go with favorites and least favorites?
Yeah.
Favorites, I'll start off because I already started talking. Favorites are Outside and... I like the vibe of Okay, I'll give it to that. Least favorite, probably Mothman.
Favorites maybe Tomorrow, Outside. Least favorite's probably Fuck You Song. It's fun, but it's just not on the level of the others.
That's fair.
No real least favorites, but no real favorites either. I just kind of preferred vibes of it more.
Gee, I wonder if there was a word you could use to describe that again.
It's not quite a blender, but it's maybe a food processor.
That's a good one.
I do want to know what the whole deal with the Kyle diss track is, because that is like there is an immaturity to that is surprising to me.
Yeah.
Just to have a 30-second rap diss song at the end.
About how your bandmate is super gay, not in a bad way, but actually in a bad way.
Yeah.
That's probably just had fun making it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. Trix, shall we do what you've been wanting, what you wanted me to say when I've listened to it, and then I never told you when I listened to it? So
yes.
I missed all the context.
Shel Silverstein makes weed sound cooler than Mom Jeans did at any point.
I agree.
Yeah. To be fair, Shel Silverstein was like decades beforehand.
Yes.
Yes.
And when you're talking about weed and the tens, it's like, all right, we've been there for a while.
When I talked about like beat generation people making smoking sound cool and like bringing culture to it, this is the stuff that I mean.
Yeah.
So I want to be fully honest with this. Like there was no moment in here where I'm going, all right, I hate this. get me out of here and stuff. I was able easily to get through both records start to finish without needing to stop out of the boredom. I think Shel Silverstein does have, like, even when it's not really songs and it's just stories of writing in there to at least make some kind of whole interesting, like, what the fuck is he on about? But I want to continue hearing, so maybe I'll find out what the fuck he's on about.
Yeah.
But that still doesn't really mean that I really like this too much.
Sure. I mean, it's country,
Yeah.
so that's already a barrier for you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I liked it, the country, when the music happened, I liked some of the songs more than I've liked some country songs on here, so I'll actually throw out the country insult that I usually do on this. It was just, I don't really care too much for hearing just poetry, I guess, or at least unless the only time that I've really been too much into that, it was, again, probably A Crow Looked at.
That's fair. I mean, I
So,
think...
guess it's on me. Yeah, there are probably some barriers on my music listening or my audio listening, I guess, on here that have stopped me probably from enjoying this. But that being said, there are moments on here which I did still like a lot. Like, I got stoned and I missed it. I can understand why that's the most popular song on his Spotify.
Yeah.
That was a fun little one. There was on Freaking at the Freakers Ball, where it became, I mean, yeah, it was definitely country on there, but it was. There was kind of a little bit of an upbeat vibe to it, I guess. To it felt like it felt like that whole stereotypical. There's probably a better genre name for it. Maybe it is just country, to be honest. I'm not ignorant about it. But you know that kind of stereotypical sound you'll get in movies and old West films and stuff like that when they walk into a saloon.
Yeah.
Outlaw country.
Yeah, that's what it kind of felt like.
Yeah, it makes sense because he wrote for Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Johnny Cash is outlaw country.
And there's a song, I believe, on Freakin's Ball where he talks about Johnny Cash as well, isn't it?
A front row seat to hear old Johnny sang.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Which has a line from Johnny on the song.
But just the moments here, there were also some moments in which, look, I'm probably missing a lot of context. I'll fully admit to that, but it still just couldn't get to it without the context. Like,
sure.
What the fuck was that peanut butter jelly sandwich shit?
That was one of his poems. It was just because he was a children's poem author, and it was just a children's poem that he put on an album.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I think
it's actually slightly different
been,
from the one that's written down. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's been established since Jelly of the Month Club that I'm not really too big into the whole children's stuff.
Yeah, some of these are from his Where the Sidewalk Ends, Light in the Attic, like children's poetry books. But a lot of these also aren't. Like, it's just a mix of stuff that some of it happens to be for kids, some of it isn't.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Because, I mean, like, obviously, he can go very adult and very transgressive and out there when he wants to.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, the divide here is I think these two albums are very different in that the Freaking at the Freakers Ball is a little more country traditional. He's got, like, the backing chorus, and it's more of an effort at it being an album. Where Songs and Stories, ironically, is more of a spoken word album with just an occasional guitar or something accompanying him.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
And, he goes, like, further down what makes, I think, his stuff work in the Songs and Stories, where it's like, he comes back to the father of a boy named Sue, and that's, like, recontextualizing the whole thing, where Sue is actually this big queen, and, the father and Sue learn to get along, and they're basically incestuous with each other at the end of it.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you have stuff like that where he's really going for it, or just a whole song about showing your dick at the beach.
Yeah, and then bringing it around to, like, you shouldn't show weapons and knives to people.
Yeah. Like, he can make a point, and it's like he mixes being, like, the dirty old man type with, like, occasionally having a good point about stuff. And,
yeah.
and then it's like you have some of those story moments, like the Smoke Off, where it's just, like, this whole big, long thing about, these two people going at it. One's rolling the J's, the other one's smoking them faster, basically, than he can roll them until, the end happens, and there's nothing left to smoke.
Yep.
And it's, as you and I both grew up probably hearing or reading like The Giving Tree and some of his other stuff, and so it's kind of unique and interesting for both of us to be like, oh, this is who this guy actually was.
Yeah, that's pretty much why I picked him.
Right. And I don't know, I really find that that those things are really interesting. Where I am very into this stuff, and in terms of like this, it feels like this is the guy. It feels like this is what he really wants to do. Doesn't matter what genre, it doesn't matter what subject matter. He just has the ideas, and he's able to put them down on paper, on tape, whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the Australian version of this would be.
I don't think we know enough about culture.
Jeff from the Wiggles, writing about drugs.
Did that track at all, Ritz? I don't know. No, he's muted.
I don't know.
Okay. No, I don't know. It's fascinating to me, and because he's really progressive for his time, and in some ways also not, but it's also like dated, but also you kind of expect it to be because it's the 70s.
Yes.
So there's a quaintness to it that you can kind of read a lot into, and you can be impressed by some things and be like, I guess, to other things like you could have tried harder, or I wish hindsight had been better.
Absolutely.
Like, what did you make of Liberated Lady 1999, for example?
Which album was that off of? Songs not
Freakin'
Songs
the
and
Freaker's
Stories.
Ball.
Yeah, that was an interesting tune. Let me look at the lyrics real quick.
It's the one where he basically reverses gender roles, where it's like the woman is doing all the things that men typically do, and the men's doing all the things women typically do, and like kind of portraying a world in which women are fully liberated, and then they just end up basically changing roles.
You cut out for that entirety.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
I was just talking about because Liberated Lady 1999 is kind of he basically reverses gender roles.
the one with the pegging. Sorry, I was going for a little bit there.
Yes, pegging.
Yeah, that was the one I was in. When I heard that line about pegging, you better believe I was into it.
Where basically women have become so liberated that they basically become men, and men have become women, and everything is just reversed.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain amount of like progressiveness to that, and it reminded me of the Dog Park Dissident song, BDSM Paradise.
Trans Starship.
Yeah.
Trans Starship Lesbian BDSM Paradise, or whatever that Dog Park song was called. That's what you read there.
Yeah, and it reminded me of that in a way, but it's also like there's something to the message of that. I don't know if the message is more pro women's lib or more like, what's the point?
I just take it as more pegging.
That's true too.
And we are pro pegging on this podcast.
Absolutely.
And keep in mind, when I think of pegging, I think of the game Peggle.
When I think of pegging, I think of JPEG Mafia.
That's a good answer. I like that a lot.
The Peggle?
The JPEG Mafia.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I think it's really interesting that he's willing to talk about like gays and shit like that, and sing songs to houseplants, but it's also like he also does not hold back and openly talks about like child molesters and shit.
You gotta appreciate the line about the rhythm guitar player trying to suck his own dick.
Yeah. And then he goes full what's the name of that sermon where he basically just, the one that's about preaching that children should just be eaten or whatever, and then he has someone ate the baby, where the whole thing is someone ate the baby and don't know who.
Yep.
You know what I'm talking about?
I don't know the sermon.
Yeah, there's like it's like a famous like thing you would, like a prompt you'd see in high school of like, this is an example of satire, and it's this priest advocating for like eating children or whatever it is. I can't remember the title of it, but yeah.
Where's the satire?
I mean, with the Catholic Church, yeah.
But yeah, I really dug this, and I really was impressed and surprised by how interesting this stuff was.
Yeah.
It really shows that, the image that we have of like the 70s is very limited by the media.
Yes. It's a slice of the 70s in a good way.
And it's amazing to see that he was such a prolific songwriter too. Like, he was very much a Renaissance man, and that he's touched every big medium at least once.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Like he's had plays produced. He wrote a movie or two, books.
He wrote columns in Playboy.
Yeah, it's like you're publishing children's books and writing in Playboy, putting these songs out and putting out your audiobooks at the same time. Like he really was appealing to everybody and anybody he wanted to.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Songs and Stories is the better one.
It is.
I personally disagree, but I'll fully admit to not really being too much cultured with this. Maybe if I had the time to give this all much more listens, maybe I'd come in. But I'll admit, yeah, there's great lines that Shel Silverstein has on here. So it's not like I'm going to go into here and say it's like, oh no, I think this is a talentless hack. He was obviously a very good songwriter. I can't deny that. And most of this is just most of my dislike comes from just being not so interested with this style of music. So it's just me not really being too much cultured.
Yeah.
And I just enjoyed Freaking at the Freakers Ball more. It was a lot easier for me to get into, so I'm taking a more accessible route.
That's
Am I a coward?
fair.
Absolutely.
I mean, you still like the cover art, right?
Oh yeah. That's some prime guitar fucking right there.
Oh yeah.
And his
Yeah,
voice
Trix,
is really unique.
Remember at the start of this podcast, Trix, where you posted a link to that person who
Fucked his guitar.
yeah, and put it on Reddit.
Yeah.
I don't think they fucked the guitar, but it
It was a dildo. I shouted that pretty loud.
But I mean, it's also when his voice is very distinct.
Oh yeah.
Like it's
Like
he's
if
expressive.
you told me this is what he sounded like just by looking at his photo, I'd be like, okay, I believe you, but I don't think I'd want to hear it, and I'd want to hear it.
Yeah, it's a unique voice. You know, it's not like he does the most singing in the world, but he mostly makes what he does work because he's just so passionate about it.
Yeah.
Like whatever music
Rafi
he's
after
making.
3 joints.
Yeah, basically. Like this is the Rafi that like as a kid, I'm like, what if Rafi was mature and dirty? It's like this is it.
Yeah.
And is Rafi big in Australia, Ritz?
No, we had the Wiggles instead.
Yeah. Another reference.
Yeah, I figured my Rafi reference would fall on deaf ears. You've heard Banana Phone, though. I guarantee you've heard Banana Phone.
Yeah, of course I've heard.
That's Rafi.
Yeah. I will say, though, I thought Rafi being a bit more mature and dirty was just Pee Wee Herman. That is my first caught masturbating joke of the year.
I mean, he was masturbating in a porno.
Yeah, I know.
That's where you're supposed to masturbate.
I know. I mean, I've always been in the belief that the arrest of Pee Wee Herman was completely unjustified.
Yeah, it was because he was gay.
Yeah.
And he also got accused of pedophilia because he was gay.
Yeah.
I'm still thinking about that line from, I think it's Freakin' at the Freakers Ball, the masturbators baiting to their masters.
Yeah.
Shall we now go on to the final pick? Oh, we need to do favorites and least favorites first.
Yeah. I guess I'll start. I mean, I like Songs and Stories more. I mean, the Smoke Off is pretty good. Father of a Boy Named Sue is pretty fun. The whole vibe of it, honestly, is just interesting just to listen to hear him talk. Paranoid's kind of a fun little closer. As far as Freakin' at the Freakers Ball goes, I don't know, like, it's kind of, that's one that kind of has like the more surprising ones in a sense of Stacey Brown got 2, but a guy with 2 dicks.
Yeah.
Or like Liberated Lady 1999, such this is like a very like extended, like, imagine fantasy sequence in a sense. The Man Who Got No Sign is a bit weird, I will admit. It's not exactly Yellowface, but it's quasi there, in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorites and least favorites. I cannot tell you half of the names by heart here. So I'm literally just going to go the lazy route, which we've done 125 times at this point, and just say my favorite, and that's I Got Stoned and I Missed It.
Yeah, that was pretty good
too.
Yeah,
I Got Stoned and I Missed It is such a mood. I have done that many a time. Favorites for me. I discovered all of his music through the Smoke Off, so that's a big favorite for me. I'm also a fan of the song that follows directly after that. I think, or one of them. It's the one like they held me down and put it you know where.
Yeah.
It's like such an out of nowhere song. And no real least favorites on either album.
Before we get into the next album that we do, I'm just gonna post this image that I saw on another Discord.
The fuck?
Fucking hell. Muscle
Jesus
Stitch
Christ.
baby.
Oh my god. Well,
Someone's posted the description of Muscle Stitch, you know, when you get the stitch in the side of your body after a bit of exercise.
yeah.
And there's a picture of
Muscular
Muscle Stitch.
Stitch. God, what does the world come to?
Who drew that? Who the fuck drew that?
And where can I commission them?
I know they've done a fantastic job as a scary bot.
Yeah.
It's actually a Disney animator somewhere.
That's some exaggerated anime, but like it's done tastefully.
Anyway, now that we've had our laugh, Dominic, we're going to just quickly cover the Left at London other thing collab. I forgot what it is. g.rola.
Yeah.
And I can describe this in a very short period of time. It is Left at London, and not really much more interesting. I heard this sound before. There's nothing. I'd rather just go back to TIP FYH or TIAP FYH.
Yeah, you got pretty
then
close.
This didn't really do much. Like after the first 10 seconds, it was the same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to mean that as an insult too much, but I'm also definitely not meaning it as a compliment.
It's about 6 minutes of music made over the course of a day. And there's a lot of samples.
That's so unsurprising, to be honest.
Yeah, it's made in 24 hours. It's a lot of samples. I kind of think all the songs have a thread to them of just Left at London and her self-image, and that's kind of interesting to hear about. Mostly kind of talking about like weight gain and kind of reevaluating like her wardrobe and things like that. Kind of growing up and maturing as an artist and things, and that's interesting too. But it's no TIAP FYH.
Yeah.
Nah, it's musically it just doesn't really do enough to the point that if this album or EP went for longer, it would have dragged on.
Yeah.
But instead, we just kind of got we got a release, I guess. I don't know if you're supposed to feel positive or negative about it. Yeah. If someone out there is a massive Left at London fan and think this is one of the best releases, I go ahead, I guess. But it's there. It exists. I have nothing else to say about it. I cannot give you the favorite or least favorite. It is a blender. Yeah.
I would agree.
Don't really think we needed to do this 5 minutes, to be honest. I think we could have just had that.
Trix, do you want to say anything specific? Because the two of us talked, so.
I have nothing really specific to say. Ritz harped on all my points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now to talk about Sam Smith.
All right, are you ready for my take, Dominic?
I'm ready.
I enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah, it's not my favorite of the week, but I actually was surprised that I was like, all right. And at least this sounds somewhat different to most of the pop that I've been hearing, and it sounds different to most of the Sam Smith that I've heard.
That's fair. What about you, Trix?
I hate how much I love this album.
Really?
Yeah.
What makes you hate it?
It's kind of the punk rock attitude I have of it's very heavily produced. It's not my style, but I like it, and I don't know why I like it. And I just kind of hate the fact that I like it, but I like it. I don't know how to explain it.
I just want to add one comment as well. Because obviously the big song on here is Unholy, which features Kim Petras on there.
Yeah.
And there is one YouTube comment. Sorry, Trix, you're just casually dying here. There's one YouTube comment.
Coke.
There's one YouTube comment that always sticks in my head every time I think of Kim Petras.
Yeah.
And it was of Rough Criminal's 10-second review of her Slut Pop EP. and someone just wrote, never ask a man his salary, a woman her age, or Kim Petras who produces her records.
What does that mean?
It's Dr. Luke.
Oh. Well.
Gotcha.
That's that, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I am the one who is here to be the most harsh to this album. I think this album has a lot of interesting points. There's some really interesting songs on here. I think it's really muddled.
I don't disagree. I mean, I expected to hate this record, and I came out thinking that it's alright. Really, like
I think there's two records being made here, and they kind of just don't mesh together very well. And the track listing,
I do
I can see
definitely
that.
agree with that. I definitely do agree with that.
and the track
Yeah.
listing doesn't really support it. The track listing feels random almost, because I feel like if you just redid it and tried to make it more cohesive, where like one kind of blended into the other a little bit better, the album would have been more interesting for it. But like Love Me More, I think, is a really weak opener. It's a decent song, but I think anything else, like I think Gloria should have been the opener as like a kind of introduction to what the album was kind of about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that could have like left a lot of room for, because it's a choral moment. It's like a minute long song, 2 minute long almost. And it's just kind of like a choir piece, and like have that as an intro, and then kind of go off from there. I think would have given the album a wider platform to do different things, instead of just like going from the acoustic ballads to like the more interesting clubby hits, to then kind of just all over the place.
In a critical way, I agree with you. I think that's a there are definitely better ways that this album could have been opened, but in a more realistic commercial way, I don't think it really matters the track listing in this record, and that is unfortunately where a lot of mainstream albums are heading towards. They realize that a lot of these albums that get out, because there are a lot of people out there. It's not the majority of people, because the majority of people, how they listen to an album doesn't exist. Everybody listens in their own way. Back when, and this isn't even anything new. My mom would always listen to the same records over and over and over, or usually just the same songs and stuff like that. It would be different ways of listening to albums or songs.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'll just be put to CD in a car and let it go, which that is usually what's considered the standard way of going an album. It is first song to the closing song. That is how you should listen to an album. But especially in the days of streaming, where it's a lot easier to make playlists and mix everything up around and having everything on shuffle, albums aren't always listened to in that order anymore. It's a lot of times, and an obvious, and I'm not accusing Sam Smith of it at the moment. I'm just saying what the current landscape usually is. And the big album that got released back in 2018, I think it was 2018, that was 100% accused of it, was Drake's Scorpion, which had the 25 songs in it. Obviously, it had all the Spotify telling you to listen to Drake around that time as well. And that was basically just 25 songs. It didn't really matter too much about the context of where those songs were. It was just 25 songs. I'm not even going to talk. I haven't listened to that album at all in full. So I'm not even going to tell you if it's good or not, because I haven't listened. I cannot tell you. But a big thing of that was trying to get streaming numbers and getting people adding to playlists. And that's what that's what albums unfortunately do kind of become are now, is it's just a collection of songs. And that's what this is. Like, yeah, you have two different potential albums in here, but were they ever really going to be made into one of those albums?
I feel like you could do it. You could kind of ramp up one into
no,
the other.
That's not the question. You could is absolutely yes. Of course it could be. We're in a point where basically any album can be made. Whether or not it is, or will it be, though, is a completely different question.
Sure.
And do you think this was ever going to be made into one of those albums? Or do you think there would be a lot better going, like, having those different... there is a positive to all of this, don't get me wrong. If you have 10 different songs, you start to get a lot more variety in mainstream pop. That is actually a positive out of it. It's not always the case, don't get me wrong. But when you would want people to be listening to basically 10 different songs, we'll say, instead of an album, you would want to have some more variety, or else people would just go, yeah, I like this. And then, other songs that sound similar will get more bonus streams and stuff that come out of it, but it's not long-term viable.
Yeah. I guess. I don't know. I guess it's disappointing to hear, because I understand what you're saying. I just think, if the album is good, that'll translate into more attention being drawn to it. Where I feel like the reception to this album is like, oh, it came out, and then I think like Fantana wasn't too hot on it, and that was really all I heard was like, yeah. And I think
to me, this is just especially with a lot of the pop that we've heard, this is a very average album, and I expect it to have a very negative reception to it. I mean, that's how I feel about a lot of mainstream albums that we've covered. Some of them I've ended up enjoying quite a lot. To surprise me, obviously the big one that I probably enjoyed the most out of all the mainstream ones was Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
And you go into here, and Sam Smith, to me, they're as talented as they are. I don't think they've ever really gone much further than their best. I don't think they'll really go much further than that. I don't really know where I put their best. I've never really thought about them long enough to care. Honestly, when someone asks me about Sam Smith, I think about that cringe Instagram story or something they had when they were crying when they were at their house during COVID. It's like, yeah, some people have it worse than you, though, by a fucking long shot, so it's a little tone deaf there, Sam. Little tone deaf. So I don't really think too much about Sam Smith's music, to be honest. If you ask me to talk about too much about Gloria at the moment, I'll go like, I fine playing in the background. I didn't want to shut it off, which, trust me, with how I usually treat a lot of mainstream pop artists, that's a compliment.
I guess what drew me to do this, right, is I think there's a lot of backlash from like right-wing conservative people against Sam Smith.
Oh yeah, that stuff's always been absolute fucking bullshit. Like the conservatives have been a bunch of fucking just dickheads doing that for the sake of conservatism, I guess.
Calling them like a groomer or whatever the fuck. They're saying they're like the devil or whatever because of Unholy. It's like,
the only thing is that Unholy is basically just, obviously it blew up a bit, and obviously there were reasons obviously to support Sam Smith other than that, but it's what Lil Nas X did.
Yeah. I
so
honestly,
even all controversies aside, it's the same controversy Lil Nas X got as well, and we're all supporting Lil Nas X.
I will say Unholy, I think, is sexier than Montero, but that's just me.
I fully disagree. I think Unholy is the best song off here as well. Like that was the one where I went, I like this. I will say I like Unholy, and again, that's a rarity for me to say about mainstream stuff. But Montero is so much fucking sexier. Anyway, Trix, yes, sorry, I was interrupting you.
I described it as it feels like it was purposely designed to be an earworm for music nerds, and I stand by that because I just kept listening into it more. Were you gonna say something, Domino?
I was asking you to explain more what you mean.
Like it's like I'd go in and I'd listen to it and I'd be like, oh, so they're doing an outline for like the main verse. It sounds kind of like Egyptian, you think at first, but then as you listen into it more, I'm like, oh, that's more like Gregorian chant, old school kind of like A is the bottom and top of the scale, and it's just the highest and lowest note you can hit, and it's just this whole like Gregorian chant that works with the whole kind of like religious aspect of it, and it just fucks.
Yeah, it's really a unique standout on the album, right? And there it's in the research of it talks about the use of the double harmonic scale, which I thought was interesting. I don't know like too much about it, but like it seemed to be more of like a hyperpop influence, more of like a modern kind of, more of an attempt to make a modern song that's not just a ballad or like a singer-songwriter moment or just a pop song, which I guess I hope that Sam Smith does more of, because if this is what Breaking the Rules looks like, I think they could do a lot they really tried to.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, you have other songs in here, like I'm Not Here to Make Friends, which is like, kind of a fun, funky Daft Punk type beat.
Yeah.
I think Gimme is annoying as fuck, but the hook is there. It kind of has a little bit of the Jamaican flavor of kind of what Unholy was trying to do, because there was some sessions in Jamaica for this.
Ah.
And that was like, I think that was like the moment where Sam Smith was like kind of allowing himself to do more, because songs like Love Me More and How to Cry are interesting, and they tackle important topics. It's just a different feel.
Yeah, very much so.
And like, oh, Who We Love, the Ed Sheeran song, the ending. It's like that's the proper ending, of course, but those songs feel just like a tad more disposable, because it feels like anybody could do them.
Yeah, I see where you're coming at.
And like I do think there's important stuff like How to Cry being kind of like talking about an abusive relationship, and kind of like, men or partners showing emotions, and kind of dealing with people who are, not emoting, or not, doing things in the way that you understand is an interesting and important topic. But it's disappointing to me in a way, just because I like, there's a Sam Smith in here that I like to hear and I think is really unique and interesting, but
Yeah,
it's like whack-a-mole. It might pop up here and there.
I see where you're getting at.
I don't really have anything else to say about this album. I don't think anyone's really going to be too surprised by what they're hearing, but I still think at least if this is what mainstream pop is going to probably sound like over the next couple of years, it's better than I thought it was going to be a couple of years ago. I'm still not too big into it, but
yeah,
that's just the way it is. I'd rather see small steps upwards than I would to see large step backwards.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Favorites on here: Unholy. Least favorites. Probably one of the fucking closer tracks, to be honest.
Sure.
I don't know. You can just name any of them. I think they're all practically the same at the end, anyway.
Favorites for me: Unholy. Least favorites for me: I wasn't a huge fan of How to Cry.
Favorites: Unholy. Sorry, I'm yawning. Favorites: Unholy. Least favorites: Gimme.
And now we can finally do the rankings of this week. I am very happy to start and just do very expected rough takes at the start.
Yep. Go ahead.
So at the very, very bottom out of all this, I'm going to put Left at London Stonefruit, because at least the one that I'm putting after it, Gloria, had something that I liked in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 6 is Stonefruit. Number 5 is Gloria. Number 4 is Songs and Stories. Number 3 is going to be Momentary Warmth. So yes, Shel Silverstein manages to basically get 2 from default from here, because I do think, even though I'll probably listen to Momentary Warmth more, Freaking at the Freaker's Ball is realistically a better album.
Oh.
So I'm putting that as number 2.
Yeah.
And number 1 is obviously the Homer's Word Tribute, because it wasn't ever going to be anything else from the moment that I picked it.
Yeah.
Trix, go ahead.
Stonefruit, A Momentary Warmth, Freaking at the Freaker's Ball, Gloria, Songs and Stories, and the Home is Where tribute.
Okay. Number 6 for me is Stonefruit. Number 5 is Gloria. Number 4 is Freakin' at the Freaker's Ball. Number 3 is Songs and Stories. Number 2 is the I Became Birds tribute. Number 1 is Momentary Warmth.
How could you do this to me? I had a unanimous number 1. I can't link this song. Let's get a drum beat. Oh. There we go.
That's just you matching me in the head over and over.
Yep.
Bonk.
Number 5 in the ARIA charts.
You still have a victory. It's both of your picks.
Yeah, it doesn't count though.
Not everything's a competition, you know.
Yes, it is.
Anyway, shall we go on now to talk? Well, we should say, as of right now, our plan for our next recording is to do our next interview.
Yeah.
Do we want to say who it is?
I think you should get the honors for organizing it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yep.
If everything goes well, our next interview will be with the Weekend Run Club. They have a new single coming out as of this recording pretty soon. I guess a new album's going to drop sometime this year.
5 days away, roughly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we're going to talk to them, talk about that stuff, try to get in as many other questions as we can, I'm sure, to try to make it loose and interesting. But, of course, we're going to plan ahead for what we're going to do after that, because after that's going to be a traditional episode where I won't be here.
Yes.
So, plan with that in mind, I guess, and I certainly have, if you want me to go first.
Go ahead.
This is something I have wanted to do for over a year, but it took a while for it to happen. I am, of course, finally going to do the Weezer Seasons EPs. Season Spring, Season Summer, Season Autumn, and Seasons Winter. Additionally, I'm going to do their Christmas EPs. The Christmas CD EP and the Christmas with Weezer EP.
I can't believe you picked Weezer before I did.
Yeah.
I don't know how to go anymore from here. Because I've lost. I mean, today I might have won the battle, but I've also lost the war.
Because how can I pick? How can I not pick the seasonal EPs and not also pick the Christmas EPs? They go together.
I just realized as well that Seasons Winter is like the whole fucking thing, isn't it?
Well, I think on Spotify, Seasons Winter is just all of the tracks.
Yeah, so I need to fucking I'll just do it the very easy way.
It'll be in reverse order, but yeah.
I'll figure it out on myself here.
Yeah, the season CD, the Christmas CD EP, and the Christmas with Weezer EP are probably the little fun add-ons. They're not. I think collectively those may be the length of one of the other EPs.
All right.
Trix, you wanna go next?
Sure. I'm also going to do an album I've been thinking about doing for over a year now. You guys know that one indie band that sounds like a corporate commercial machine that has the song with the whistling?
What?
Edward Sharpe and Magnetic Zeros?
No, Peter, Bjorn, and John.
Ah!
We're going to be doing their album Darker Days.
I don't know what this is.
You've never heard Peter, Bjorn, and John?
I feel like I've heard the name.
He's heard the song Young Folks.
Yeah, Young Folks.
You've heard Young Folks. You've guaranteed you've heard Young Folks.
Okay, maybe.
If you don't care about the young folks.
Maybe.
Talking about the answer.
Maybe. I mean, it's entirely possible. Oh, is that the whistling part?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I've heard that song. Yeah.
Incredible. All right. Well, I'm just currently debating here. What do I do? Do I do a 2023 album from an artist that I've kind of been getting into recently, or do I get a 2023 artist from a 2023 album? Sorry, from an artist that's probably going to start a bit of a meme on here.
I do wish to mention that Seasons Winter does count for the cycle.
Yes, I know that does. But which one should I pick?
Meme.
We're going with the meme. We're going with the meme.
Yeah,
going with the meme.
All right, boys, let's get the beats going in here. That didn't work as well as I wanted. I should have put the bass out.
Jungle beat.
Yeah, hold on. Let's put that down a bit. Yeah. Should have brought the bass out. I'm gonna pick Skrillex.
Oh shit.
Yeah, Skrillex's Quest for Fire. We're doing that.
Is that the new one that's horribly produced?
Nah, it's the new one that's better produced.
Ah, okay.
What does that mean? Oh wait, there's 2 albums that came out this year?
Yeah, do you want to do both of them, Dominic?
I don't know. I didn't know there were 2 albums that came out this year.
Alright, I guess we're doing both of them.
Fuck it.
Fuck.
Skrillex's 2 albums. I've picked them both. This is what you get for picking Weezer over me.
Sure, I guess. We're really gonna get into Skrillex.
Getting into Skrillex.
You are a cinema, a Hollywood treasure.
Have I sent you guys that like fucking DOS video of the Tibetan monk game?
Oh,
or
yes.
whatever it was?
Yes, yeah.
I don't remember this, but you probably have.
I'll see if I can find it.
It's scary monsters and nice sprites to the Tibetan monk.
I've actually listened to very little Skrillex outside of some of the obvious stuff.
Yeah, Bangarang, and you probably would have obviously heard Scary Monsters.
Actually, I don't think I actually have.
I'm posting it in the chat right now.
Yeah, until we've caught up, Dominic, with Skrillex, I have been Riddle, and you can catch me on my website, riddleandforkids.github.io. I have a game that's back into development, so hopefully I'll actually update my blog and stuff with that shit, but we'll see how lazy I be. I also have a YouTube channel that's in the description below.
I've been Trix. I almost ate an entire pizza while we recorded this episode. You can find me on Twitter if it's still afloat somehow. Buy our merch. Check out our website.
First, I am Dominic, but to recap, we are doing the album by Peter, Bjorn, and John, Darker Days. We're doing the 2 Skrillex releases of 2023, Quest for Fire and Don't Get Too Close. And of course, we're doing the Weezen's Seasons saga, Seasons Spring, Seasons Summer, Seasons Autumn, and Seasons Winter, along with the Weezer Christmas CD EP and the Christmas with Weezer EP. And with
Did you mean to say Weezens?
No. I did not.
It flowed off your tongue so perfectly.
When did I say Weezens?
You said Weezens Seasons.
Yeah. I didn't even question it. I'm like, oh, he meant to say that.
I didn't even notice.
Weezens.
I guess we know what we're calling that episode.
Weezens Seasons.
Yeah, you can catch me online at DACICHOCKI on Twitter. I'm on YouTube. I'm on the Mini-Me Discord if you really want to look there. If there's any other relevant links, they'll be below.
We're all exhausted.
Yeah, it's been a good episode, but I think we gotta call it.
Yeah,
an hour and 40 minutes longish.
Hour and 30 and 31. Hour and 31 right about now.